Some dare call it conspiracy.
Welcome to the Some Dare Call It Conspiracy podcast, hosted by Brent Lee and Neil Sanders. After nearly 20 years exploring the world of conspiracy culture, we are taking our guests and listeners on a guided tour of the rabbit hole. Our mission? To discover where the truth lies.
So we're still grinding through Mark Dice's painful book, The Illuminati in the Music Industry. And Brent, what would you say if I was to say to you, 1, 2, 3, Mos Def and?
Talib Kweli.
Talib Kweli, yeah. And I was surprised as anything to find Talib Kweli mentioned in this book, because to be quite honest, I'm astonished that Mark Dice knows who the fuck Talib Kweli is. Talib Kweli is a rapper, half of Black Star, which is a group that he formed with Mos Def. Very, very talented. So, but Dice is not super keen. And this is what he's got to say. During the interview, he explained how he'd read Bill Cooper's popular book, Behold a Pale Horse, in the 1990s, but later realized how inaccurate Cooper was and blamed much of the anti-Illuminati sentiment on what he called right-wing conservative Christian think tanks, the John Birch Society types, who felt the need to demonize Freemasons and demonize these groups at the beginning of America. So it's all just religious stuff, Talib said. The Illuminati was a real organization, he went on, and could quite possibly be a real organization now, but the amount of power people allow it to have on their lives is based on them. And obviously, Dice isn't super happy with that. And he says, while Talib Kweli may be a skilled and socially conscious rapper, his interview with DJ Vlad on Vlad TV revealed how little he knows about the John Birch Society, which was instrumental in exposing the Illuminati insiders, as they called them, starting in the 1960s by publishing books like Gary Allen's Non-Dare Call It Conspiracy. And you think, no. That's what he's saying. He's read that book. He's clearly read that book, right, and gone, oh, yeah, this is bullshit. Right, okay, so I see where they've taken a little bit of truth, like, for example, Freemasons are a secretive organization, and gone, well, that must mean that this is yada, yada, yada. And the Kweli's done essentially, you know, kind of what we've done to a degree as well, just looked at it in more depth and gone, hang on, this doesn't add up, or this doesn't actually accurately represent what the original documentation said, or it's joining dots or making leaps of faith, or alternatively, usually basically starting from a position that there is a powerful organization, and you start from a sensible position. Powerful people are corrupt. Powerful people like to stay in power. Then this expands to, well, you know, have you noticed all of these connections? And then you come from the perspective that you want to believe there's an Illuminati, and all of a sudden you will see all of the different bits of evidence and signs and signifiers that the Illuminati exist, basically. But yeah, Dice seems to miss that. He then goes on to talk about Noriega. Noriega is another New York rapper. Capone Noriega was their group, Golden Era, really, really, really good. He now has a show called Drink Champs, where he invites people to come on and get increasingly drunk and tell stories about hip-hop, which is a lot of fun. So Dice says, in an interview with Urban Daily, Nori, formerly known as Noriega, and it's like, oh, mate, you don't understand rap at all, do you?
They don't have formerly known as, it's just AKAs.
Yes, exactly. When asked about the Illuminati hip-hop, Nori, formerly Noriega, was asked about the Illuminati hip-hop rumors and answered, the way they're describing it with the devil worship, that's all fabricated and over-exaggerated. But there is a certain level that you can't get to unless you're aware of certain things. There's a door that you have to walk through, and it's on you to walk through that door. And once you walk through that door, there's no coming back. And I don't know when this book, I can't remember when this book came out. I think it came out in 2013. So to be fair, some of the things that he's missed, you can't hold it to him that hardly because, they hadn't happened yet. But Noriega actually said more things. In 2014, he went on Vlad TV and they discussed Behold a Pale Horse. And he said he'd read that as well. And that he was offered choices in the industry. And he says, but it's a level of success where it's a door. It's a door when you platinum and you're getting 50 grand a show. And I've been there. There's a door that you could walk in. And I'm not sure if it's homo or if it's Illuminati. I just didn't take that through. I went straight. Straight is on your own. So let's see if you can continue this success, young man. Let's see if you've got. Let's see if it was all about your skills, young man. Let's really see that you went straight to the right. And I'm not sure if that's homo shit right there. And then then to the left. And I'm not sure if there's some sacrifice shit going on right there. I'm not sure because I went straight. But I was offered these doors. Now what I'm saying is those different people, which I have no problem with, that's all you feel me? And I just chose to go straight and I haven't been platinum since. And I remember at the time, like that was flying around places as well as sort of, proof that the Illuminati exists. And it's not dissimilar to another prominent rapper, Inspector Deck of Wu-Tang Clan. He was interviewed by an online magazine. It said INS, because he's also known as formerly known as he's also known as the Rebel INS. He was willing to share details of the very unique visual he and Ghostface, who's another Wu-Tang member, shared together whilst attending a mansion party in California. We went to a house party in Hollywood. It was half of us. We went to the after party, saw a lot of famous faces, Deck explained. We like the uninvited guest, we the hood, walking through the mansion, and it was just crazy. I remember me and Ghost will tell you this too. We opened up a couple of doors just trying to see what was going on, and I'm going to tell you all too. You'll make it to Hollywood, you can get invited to these parties and all that. Don't be curious, bro. Don't be opening doors. The rapper went on to share what happened next. We opened the doors and we saw a whole lot of, which inferred some graphic situations. He added that it was a whole lot of inappropriate activities. I've got nothing against gay people, but it was a lot of gay shit going on. Me personally, I love women. What's that? Homo sapien? I'm pro-woman.
Oh.
Yeah, so sort of lost its way in the middle and completely went off the tracks towards the end, didn't it? But hey ho. But again, those were sort of
a bit like his solo career.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Like, what was his first album? That was good. Deck's always been like I rate Deck as basically one of the better rappers in Wu-Tang. Like, I think he's fantastic, but yeah, like here's the thing, right? With both of those instances, I remember vividly hearing them and basically go, well, that proves it. Like, they've mentioned the word Illuminati. They're implying essentially that this secret gay people in Hollywood and the music industry, and there's an inference within the conspiracy world that you have to sometimes do homosexual sex magic in order to get on with the Illuminati. It's couched in homophobia and the lack of understanding and such like that. But so both of these instances, I do recall them being like, oh my God, that's basically it. Like we've got the confession. Looking back, it sounds to me not so much Illuminati stuff as more sort of casting couch type stuff, particularly with Noriega. And that could be the case. It could just be that he's misinterpreted the situation. It could be that it basically it could be something else actually. Now, the more I think about it, it could be that you need to alter your image or you need to alter your output or something like that in order to make it more pop. And obviously you've got to remember at the time, Super Thug is Noriega's thing, is very, very street and stuff like that. Like there's there's a glut of homophobic language in hip hop. Him saying this is gay shit doesn't necessarily mean like homosexual stuff. Like sex, it could just mean stuff that he thought was soft.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Remember like the fuss everyone made about, I think, was it Cameron wearing pink?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because it was totally against the hip hop and skinny jeans. Remember when skinny jeans came in and stuff like that? True Life did an entire mixtape basically cussing Dipset out for wearing skinny jeans. And so this was the thing, and that was something that is another sort of conspiracy theory that people talk about, the feminization of hip hop. And
because that's an interesting angle, man.
Yeah,
I hadn't even thought of it like that.
Well, it just struck me, to be quite honest, that it might be that we might be looking at it through the wrong lens, so to speak. But it is what it is. Now, with the Inspector Deck thing, it just sounds like he stumbled across a party where some stuff was going on. It was behind the scenes, so to speak. And again, that doesn't infer Illuminati, really. It's just a party, isn't it? I mean, it's the only reason it's interesting is because he's famous people and like stuff. That kind of stuff happens everywhere. So it is what it is. There's another one as well that we used to be a huge thing. Do you remember in the It's Tricky video by Run DMC? There's a shot, I think it's a girl's actually wearing a Freemason's hat, like a Shriner's hat.
Right, yeah. Like a fez.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that there's a couple of like flashes of like a checkerboard in the video and stuff like that. And it was one of those things.
Giveaway.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. well, that was an old one, so I was surprised that wasn't in his book. But basically, it's that was in all the sort of compilation YouTube videos. This proves that Run DMC and they did some stuff with Rick Rubin. How much more like proof do you need? It's all coming together, and you could probably make something out of Adidas like mocking the Trinity or something like that if you really wanted to stretch it. But
yeah, anyway. I did double check. Rick Rubin produced Subliminal Verses Volume 3.
Oh, the Slipknot album.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Right. Yeah, it was Ross Robinson did the first two, didn't he? Did he do the second one?
Definitely did the first. I'm not certain about the second.
No, but yeah, fair play. Rick Rubin. He's awesome. Like, there is a reason that he gets used. He did all the the sort of updated Johnny Cash records as well, didn't he? The American Records recordings. So yeah, he's awesome. Anyway, so there is a reason why there's a Freemason's hat in the Tricky video. Do you know why Run DMC have got Freemason imagery?
Is one of them a Freemason?
Well, yeah, basically. Although,
really?
Yeah, Daryl McCannu's DMC is a Freemason. Now, in all fairness, he didn't join until after retiring from music, but he's very, very sort of like open about being a Freemason. He just thinks it's cool. So it's entirely so one of two things is happening. Either basically they thought it was interesting at the time and so decided to include it. Like, what's more likely though is that basically like somebody just found the hat in like a second-hand shop or whatever, thought, put it on, like that looks kind of cool in the video. There happened to be a checkerboard floor somewhere in the building that they were filming the video in, and that got caught on camera. And it's entirely plausible that the sort of the suspicion that Run DMC were involved in Freemasonry and thus the Illuminati actually spurred the interest in DMC to go and join the Freemasons after Run DMC basically became less sort of active. So who can say? But yeah, so there's a couple of bits and bobs that Mark Dice didn't sort of touch on, but hey ho, what can he do? And then, as I say, this is the thing, looking back at them with a slight air of separation, it certainly isn't the smoking gun that I remember it being. I can see why people might interpret it in the way that they had. This isn't silly. They're definitely saying they've seen some secret shit and inferring that if they've made decisions that have ultimately affected their career. But that doesn't mean Illuminati. That just means parties where people do stuff that they don't want to be publicized, and a corrupt industry, which we knew about anyway. So, but Dice then goes on to talk about Beyonce. And Beyonce, my God, she catches it. Like, she's considered basically... like, for some reason, just one day everyone decided that... And I think it coincided with her success, really. Like, they started looking at all the clues that she was leaving, that she was actually some sort of satanic witch.
Yeah, no, my view back in the day was that she was like one of the high priestess of black magic or Illuminati magic or whatever, something like that.
Okay, fair enough. Because she's like, and I think the thing was kind of, she's a bit younger than Jay-Z, isn't she? And I seem to recall the concept that she'd sort of been given to him as like a sort of prize, because he was like, you know, the king of the witches or whatever. Like, I'm sure there was that sort of like, because nobody could think there's no way that Jay-Z's back Beyonce. Fuck off, come on. Like, it's the Illuminati. Like, it must be. But apparently not. Well, who can say? But anyway, so Dice says of Beyonce, let's take a look at Beyonce's dark transformation from an innocent singing sweetie pie to an Illuminati symbol spewing witch, culminating in her strong, isn't it? Culminating in her 2013 Super Bowl halftime performance, where she flashed Jay-Z's trademark Illuminati gesture to the camera by joining her index fingers and thumbs into a triangle for a brief moment. So again, it's the Rockefeller sign. It's the rock. It's a rock. It's a diamond.
The diamond. It's not a triangle.
No, it's not. Like, and so again, this is another one of these things which all of the music industry Illuminati shit is. You've got to start with a position. Well, we know that this proves that the Illuminati exist, and they did something which is a bit like it. There you go. Anyway, he goes on. Beyonce's descent into the dark side appears to be directly related to her relationship with Jay-Z, who many people believe exposed her to the secret doctrine. Whether he doesn't mean the Madame Blavatsky book there, does he? He means the sort of the plan. this vague plan.
Might be both.
Yeah,
both can be true.
Yeah, that is fair. Here we go. For example, the once sweet and innocent Beyonce is killed by Jay-Z in a fiery explosion in her Crazy in Love music video, which shows Jay-Z purposely starting the fire that blows up Beyonce's car as she's trapped inside. And then her alter ego, Sasha Fierce, is born. Yeah, and rises out of the ashes, popping back on screen, dancing next to the Jay-Z. Now, here's the thing, right? Okay, Sasha Fierce is not a scary satanic name. It's like, it sounds like a drag queen's name. Like, it's brilliant. Right? Like, yeah, do you know what I mean? It doesn't. No. Oh no! Everyone, run! Sasha Fierce is coming. Will she be fierce? Yes. Right. Anyway, so he continues. Then her alter ego, Sasha Fierce, is born and rises out of the ashes, popping back on screen, dancing next to Jay-Z. The scene appears to be a deliberate, symbolic killing off of the old Beyonce and depicts the birth of Sasha Fierce, her strange and satanic-looking alter ego. How does she look satanic as Sasha Fierce? Like, it's just Beyonce. Like, anyway,
right?
Beyonce, yeah,
with a bit of wind in her hair.
Beyonce then appeared on the stage in 2007 BET Awards dressed as a robot depicting Sasha Fierce that looks identical to the satanic robot in the popular 1927 German film Metropolis, a classic movie about the wealthy ruling elite and the poor underclass slaves who must work tirelessly to support the lifestyle of their masters. I thought he looked a bit more like a motorbiker. Am I remembering a different one?
Yeah, that's a different one. That's the vehicle of Baphomet.
Oh shit. Oh, sorry, there is thought got into that then. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Right, so, yeah, Metropolis. So she looks a bit like Metropolis. Like, so what? Like, never mind. Anyway, in 2009, she and Taylor Swift wore red dresses, and then in brackets, whores of Babylon. And she passed the crown to the younger woman. Hang on, I thought Madonna had passed the crown to the younger woman when she did that lesbian kiss with Christina Aguilera and Britney Spears. Like, how many crowns are there?
Yeah.
Like, that's hey ho.
Oh, there's plenty. There's plenty, I'm sure. Lots of princes and principalities and all that stuff.
Well, yeah, I suppose. Like, you know, it's actually surprisingly inclusive and DEI based. The Illuminati, isn't it? Like at times, which is actually a positive. But anyway, so there is some other stuff on the internet, which is always reliable, about clues to Beyonce's satanic nature. And there is a line in a song of hers called Hold Up, which some say is sacrilegious. In this song, which I am not familiar with, she says, "Plug my menses with pages from the Holy Book," which I have to admit does sound a bit like a sort of deicide song. But this has been seen by some as, like, again, mocking Christ, and like, what else could it be? It's you know, it's like a dirty protest against the Bible is how people have interpreted that. However, apparently, the phrase "I plugged my menses with pages from the Holy Book" is a line of poetry by Somali British writer Warshawn Shire from her poem Denial. So the phrase is widely interpreted as a powerful metaphor for extreme emotional pain and a desperate search for solace in faith when faced with betrayal. So the theme is a desperation for comfort, and apparently the speaker is trying to plug a profound ongoing bleeding of pain with something considered sacred, which is the words of the Holy Book. So this act highlights a deep spiritual and emotional crisis where conventional sources of comfort are not enough to staunch the pain. So actually, although, and this was a big thing, I'd sort of, like, you know, Googling like Illuminati Beyonce and stuff, and every single one talks about this, and like basically says, she literally says that she will smear blood across the Bible and, you know, shove it up herself, essentially. Like, she's gone full on exorcist. And actually the opposite is true. It's a poetic way, an artistically poetic way of expressing how somebody would actually receive great comfort from religion. So my interpretation of that is that it's a pro-religious message. And again, and again, conspiracy theorists just don't really understand art, or pick and choose when art is considered bad and when it's considered good, essentially. But there was also something else that happened more recently. In October 2018, Beyonce's former drummer and background singer, Kimberly Thompson, made claims in a legal filing that Beyonce was engaging in extreme witchcraft and magic spells, among other accusations. And so Thompson, she'd worked with the singer for several years, and she alleged that Beyonce had used spells to control certain aspects of her life, including her finances and relationships. She also accused the singer of harassment. Now, a judge later denied Thompson's request for a temporary restraining order against the performer due to a complete lack of evidence, because Thompson didn't actually provide any verifiable concrete evidence in court or anywhere to support these claims of extreme witchcraft or harassment from Beyonce. But essentially, what she seemed to say was that everything was going wrong in her life, or things seemed to be going wrong in her life, and she blamed it on magic spells by Beyonce. And also in court documents, aside from basically saying that, she made her lose all her money, she made things go wrong in personal relationships and such like that. But there were specific claims, and one of them was that they had used magic in order to sexually molest Kimberly Thompson from afar. So if anyone's ever seen that film, The Entity, that's a bit of an obscure one. But it was a bit like that, only it was Beyonce, manning the controls of this ghost rapist or whatever. And and then the other thing that apparently they did was with magic was they caused the death of Kimberly Thompson's pet kitten. They sort of basically caused it to drop dead. Yeah. Anyway, needless to say, sometimes kittens drop dead. Rihanna is another one who everybody hates, and again, it just seems to be basically anybody that's successful seems to be. Well, that's the idea, isn't it? Basically, you can't possibly get to the top echelons of music unless you're involved in some sort of dreadful, terrible magic.
She's somewhat provocative, like wearing the cunt necklace into the church.
Oh, did she do that? I didn't realize she did that.
Yeah. I remember that being a big one.
Oh shit. I didn't realize that. But what Dice says about her is Rihanna had a clean image for her first two albums. And then in 2007, she took a turn for the worse with her third album, Good Girl Gone Bad, clearly announcing her metamorphosis to a more demonic singer. And it was all downhill from there, ultimately leading her to embrace the title of Illuminati Princess. In her music video for Rockstar, she is seen in one scene dancing on the floor on her hands and knees inside a circle containing two intersecting triangles while wearing what many say are devil horns or a Baphomet headdress. The circle painted on the floor looks similar to a satanic pentagram, which is often drawn on the floor and used in black magic rituals. Another scene from S&M shows a headline scrolling past the screen reading Princess of the Illuminati. Rihanna's Illuminati affiliations seem to go on and on with events like her performance on American Idol, where she appeared on stage inside a pyramid. And the cover art for her single Diamonds includes a human skull. The song features Kanye West, who raps a line about the Illuminati and high society. And there's also, she's actually was asked why she appears in interviews with her eyes covered, showing just one eye. And she basically said to the interviewer, because I'm a fucking devil worshipper. I'm in the Illuminati, is what she said. And I think how you take that speaks volumes about this particular subject. But we'll come back to that in a second. The other one that was everyone was putting around everywhere was the umbrella video. There's all sorts of interpretations of what the umbrella represents or what it means. Some people saying that it was about sort of sexual organs and such like this. Some people saying, I remember like some very sort of reaching stuff. It's putting it above your head, which is essentially saying like blocking God from you or something. Like, come on. But in it, she sort of contorts in a little bit, and if you freeze the frame, she sort of puts her arms up and puts her legs back, and it kind of looks a little bit for about a fraction of a second like a sort of dragon's head, like a sort of like her arms are the horns, and her head becomes the sort of the mouth, and her legs are the sort of jowls, and it's a sort of like it was interpreted by a lot of people as being a demon, and in fact it was also interpreted to be the same demon that possesses Eminem and Jay-Z. this demon that apparently the Illuminati refer to as Rain Man. And again,
that's it. So I was wondering if you're going to say that.
Yeah, this is the thing. And like now, a lot of people out there might be going, but Rain Man isn't a god of any type. Rain Man is like Rain Man is Dustin Hoffman. Like, like it's a reference to being very, very mentally high functioning, because spoilers, if nobody's seen Rain Man 40 years after it fucking came out, he has incredible he's autistic and he has incredible mathematical skills. He's a savant. And so that's what they're saying. Jay-Z calls him, it says, I do the Rain Man shit, which is basically, I spit out an entire rap song without checking my notes. He doesn't write it down. Or he claims to not write it down. Whether he does, who knows? Like, but he basically comes up with it in his head, remembers it, performs it, hones it like that. You know, actually, it's not that dissimilar from being like a stand-up comedian, essentially, is it? You know, when you think about it, you keep doing it and you're getting a routine and getting bits that fit and whatnot. I'm not saying that it's not difficult. I'm just saying that it's not mystical. And it all started. Was it Biggie Smalls that?
Yeah, he did the same.
Was he the first person to say that he? I don't. Who knows?
Who knows? Yeah.
Do you know why Biggie Smalls? It was not called Biggie Smalls. He's called Notorious B.I.G.
Wasn't there like a real gangster called Biggie Smalls?
No, it's a reference to a blaxploitation film, I believe. But the reason that he was not allowed to be called Biggie Smalls and changed his name to Notorious B.I.G. was that there was a white rapper from New Jersey called Biggie Smalls who sued Big, and that's how he had to change his name. Yeah, I only found that out the other day. Like, but yeah, so this is apparently the signs that that Rihanna is in the Illuminati. It's things like a pyramid, things written on the floor, appearing next to a human skull, and appearing next to Kanye West. These are all, again, signs of arcane practice. But here's the thing, and I think some of you might be sort of ahead of me here, but like, why on earth would she have writing on her video saying to everybody that she's an Illuminati princess? Why, when questioned about it in an interview, would she say, because I'm a fucking devil worshipper? Like, why? Well, it's this thing that is quite popular in the music industry, and no, not Satanism, marketing. Rihanna came to prominence at a very sort of interesting time when essentially that people were using it. In fact, what's the name of her husband? A$AP Rocky.
Oh, really?
A$AP Rocky did a similar thing. He had a video where there was like a pentagram on the floor and there was like ravens or some sort of like shit, and he got accused of being the Illuminati as well. And he basically turned around and says, I didn't choose the video. I was told that basically this would draw eyes to me. And it's the same thing with Rihanna. She's playing on that. She understands that basically if you put Illuminati symbolism in the music videos, particularly at that time when music videos were far more sort of utilized and important to an artist than now, in order to sort of gain popularity, if you put something like that in it, then it's going to be shared by this entirely different demographic who are sharing it to look at clues, and they're going to watch it over and over and over again. And all that does is basically feed into the algorithms, add the clicks on it, generate revenue, and there's no publicity, there's no bad publicity. Well, there is, the Lost Prophets found this out, but you have to go a long way to actually sort of have detrimental bad PR.
Bringing up Lost Prophets, I actually thought the other episode when we were talking about artists selling more when they're dead, I bet that wasn't one band. I although actually I think there was.
I think there was a rise after he was murdered in prison. I think there was a rise in listens. I'm pretty sure people are easily led, Brent. Like, you know, like I'm sure this similar thing happened when like Jimmy Savile was exposed. A lot of people would start looking things up just out of sort of like morbid curiosity or whatever. Like, so who knows? But I will check that. But yeah, I'm sure there was at least I'm sure I saw a story that said actually it's done quite well for them, which is horrific. But did you remember any other interpretations of Umbrella? What it was? It was just vaguely satanic, as far as I could recall.
Yeah. Plus, like, yeah, the lyrics come into me.
Oh,
She's like
right.
chanting that over and over. There's something about you are my entity.
Oh,
and therefore
right.
infinity. So obviously, like,
yeah,
demonic entities are infinite beings, yada yada yada.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said,
She wants to be possessed by them. She's being, she's asking. Okay, fair enough. I wonder what the song's really about.
If you listen to it now, it's sex.
Yeah, basically,
sex.
I would have thought so.
I'm into me. Simple.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, that
you know,
it does make more sense than like secretly, like, you know, encouraging people to become possessed. But who knows? Speaking of possessed, Nicki Minaj, who Mark Dice cleverly calls Nicki Threesome Minaj, and it's like, oh, you've got no fucking clue, have you, mate? Like that's the point of her fucking name. It's supposed to be Menage a Trois, right? Okay, you've not spotted something there. Like, that's the fucking point. Like, it's supposed to be like a sexy name. Female rappers sometimes have sexy names. Why Megan the Stallion is called Megan the Stallion when a stallion is actually a male horse is one of the more baffling names. But, you know, that's a completely separate story. Anywho, Dice writes, while Nicki Threesome Minaj is adored by little girls around the world, the content of her music couldn't be more demonic. In fact, she claims to be possessed by an evil spirit of a little boy named Roman Zelensky, who might be named after Roman Polanski, the director of Rosemary's Baby, an atrocious film about Satan raping a woman in order to impregnate her with the Antichrist. Roman Polanski, the film's director, was charged with statutory rape of a 13-year-old girl when he was 45. And it's like, who might be named after Roman Polanski? Do you reckon? Like, and again, what she's saying there is that this was the thing, like any sort of like split personality is seen as indications of the Illuminati, which, again, that's just struck me. This shows that these people, they don't know their fucking topics, right? Because if it's just literally as straightforward as you've got an alter ego, therefore you must be in the Illuminati. Well, we've kind of touched on that already. Who has a fuck ton of alter egos? Rappers. And Dice evidently just doesn't know the topic well enough to go, oh, hang on, if ODB, if fucking Old Dirty Bastard is also called Osiris and Big Baby Jesus, like, why have they not picked up on that as like a potential source who promotes drug use and illicit sex and the welfare state? If you like, is you know, the front of his album. Why have they not gone with that one? Again, because they're shit, essentially. That is basically all he has to say about Nicki Minaj. Again, if we're brutally honest, all the stuff about Nicki Minaj is sort of similar things. She promotes sexuality. She appears naked in some videos. She does photo shoots with one eye or various other symbolism that is deemed to be the Illuminati. One thing that nobody seems to have picked up on the fact is that she's married to a registered sex offender, but, you know, who reportedly raped a woman a time ago. That's not cool. Hey ho, Lady Gaga. Now, Lady Gaga, yeah, I mean, again, I think she can do what she's doing, and she sort of ran with a lot of stuff. But Dice writes, Gaga is often photographed wearing costumes using all-seeing eye symbolism, has been a very vocal supporter of homosexuality and admitted to Barbara Walters that she has had sex with women and is bisexual. So what? Anyway, her 2011 song "Born This Way" was described as an anthem for the gay community, and in a Saturday Night Live skit, she sung about banging two guys at the same time. While on the Jimmy Kimmel Show, she told a story about recording songs on her tour bus and how she swore to Lucifer that she would kill her crew if they couldn't make the equipment work properly. She refers to her fans as monsters or little monsters, which is actually an appropriate title for the lost and decadent souls who support Gaga. She once simulated her own death on stage during a performance of her song Paparazzi at the MTV Music Video Awards. And after staying in a luxury intercontinental hotel in London, several maids reportedly found what looked like blood covering the entire bathtub, leading one housekeeper to claim that Gaga was bathing in blood as a satanic ritual. So let's go through all of these things. One, again, it's all the symbolism and stuff, which is interpreted as you want. She once wore a sort of red lace all-in-one that covered her face and had a sort of crown, and that was seen by lots of people to be representative of a demon or a king of hell or something like that. It was also vaguely connected to Pizzagate in a ludicrous way that made zero sense and is too complicated to be bothered with right now. Also, though, she's a vocal supporter of homosexuality. Grr. This says more about the people writing this than it does about the subjects of the theory. And it's a bit of an obsession. And, you know, if I had a grounding in psychology, which I do, I'd suggest that Dice is struggling with certain things. Anyway, this thing where on the Jimmy Kimmel Show, where she says she swore to Lucifer that she would kill the crew if they couldn't make it work. The clip is online. It's one of those that is shown all the time. She's clearly joking. She's also clearly, you can see in her eyes, like she chooses to say it. You can almost see am I going to say this? Yeah, I'm going to say it. And she knows what she's doing. It's a joke. It's just a fucking joke. She refers to her fans as monsters or little monsters. Oh no. My understanding of that was that basically it's an inclusive sort of thing. It's what she was sort of appealing to was people that feel outcast, or it's almost like a sort of Frankenstein's monster type thing was my understanding. Like, you know, that and if people haven't read that book and don't understand the themes of it, is that, like, despite who is the real monster, I'll give you a spoiler. It's not the monster. Like, it's about humanity and not judging people on appearance and basically giving everybody a chance, regardless of how different you might think they are, or how you should be allowed to thrive and be your own person, regardless of how different you feel to everyone. And again, this has been twisted as to be basically a representation of her being in the Illuminati. She simulated her own death on stage during the performance of Paparazzi. She was stabbing herself, and like there's blood and everything. She even may have pulled her own heart out. And again, like, a lot of people miss the sort of, she's talking about, they've missed the thing. She's talking about the deal that you have to make with the paparazzi once you're famous, and how basically, so she's sold her soul, sold her heart, ripped her heart out, sacrificed herself for this role. And if they'd have gone with that the sort of I hesitate to use this word, I can't think of a better word, academic understanding of it, as opposed to, look, there's blood on stage, there'd actually be a better argument for it, that she's there telling the story of how you have to make certain sacrifices. Sell your soul, if you will, if you like that phrase, in order to make it successful. But they don't. Also, the blood in the bathtub. I suspect I haven't looked into that. But I suspect it was probably made up. Let's have a look. The bloody bathtub. Allegedly, it was. Nobody knows. Nobody knows if it's true or not. It was a story that was published at the Intercontinental Hotel in London, and some said that it was potentially a stage prop or something that, not blood, whereas other maintained that it's clearly evidence that she's bathing in the blood of children for, reasons of absorbing their essence. So it could be either of those. Kesha is another one. Mark Dice doesn't like. Mark Dice is very angry at the women. He really, really is very angry at the women. Kesha. To begin with, she drinks blood out of a heart on stage and drips it all over her face and chest. She drank her own urine on MTV, on the MTV show My Crazy Beautiful Life. She's posted pictures of herself wearing satanic pentagram jewelry on Facebook. She asked her fans to send her their teeth, which she then used to make a bra and headdress out of, as the 1,000 teeth she received from her deranged fans, which she calls animals. She claims to have had sex with a ghost. She wore an upside-down crucifix on her leotard whilst performing live on the Today Show, whilst at the same time her backup dancers had Illuminati all-seeing eyes incorporated into their costumes. In her video for Die Young, she and her friends have an orgy inside a church after she arrives in a hearse that has the word evil written on the back. She sings about serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer and cannibalism. She took dozens of pictures of guys' penises as a condition before allowing them on her tour bus to meet her and hang out. She encourages one-night stands and even has a song called Booty Call. And that's just a sample of what this trash can contain. Kesha is the perfect example of what the Illuminati wants your little girls to grow up to be like. She's a Jack Daniels guzzling, blood-drinking bimbo who doesn't have a care in the world without anyone or anything other than getting wasted, getting laid, and getting rich. I'm struggling to see the problem there. If you've got something sort of contentious to say, Mark, say it. All you're doing there is listing. That sounds like someone's Tinder profile. So, again, it's all just basically, I don't like this girl. She promotes sex. She promotes anti-Christian lifestyles. She's loose. She's one of them loose harlots. It's ridiculous. And then, of course, Madonna. Madonna appeared in center stage again when she headlined the halftime show of the 2012 Super Bowl, where her act was more like an elaborate Illuminati ritual than a musical performance. It was a bizarre Egyptian-themed showcase that cast her as the High Queen, wearing a crown with devil horns coming out of it. The performance was so strange that Illuminati rumors began circulating on the internet in record number, with many viewers unfamiliar with the Illuminati or occult symbolism, even wondering what they'd just witnessed, sensing something was wrong and feeling the unusual performance held some secret meaning. In 2012, her Super Bowl halftime show had her dressed as a Sumerian goddess. And again, he's missed several things. That's literally pretty much what he has to say about Madonna, that she dressed as a Sumerian goddess and she had what looked like horns and stuff like that. He seems to have missed if we're going along with the themes, that her entire career has been about promoting sex and having and songs about sex. And even if they're not about sex, they've got provocative titles like a Virgin, which implies sex. Although, according to her, Quentin Tarantino is wrong. And it is not about sort of John Holmes-like equipped gentleman causing pain in young women. It's actually about love. But, who knows? Or, in fact, really gives a shit. Anywho, there's other things like... like prayer, for example, in that the video strongly implies that Jesus was black, which is not always favored by certain conservative types, particularly in, shall we say, the Western world. And also she has stigmata in it, I believe, like, which, you know, obviously, depending on your view, could be seen as mocking God, or could be seen as, you know, making light of, is it, I don't know what the correct word, a holy sacrament, a miracle, whatever. I don't exactly know what stigmata is. I know what it is. It's you get the wounds of Christ, like, but what it signifies, I'm not entirely sure. My familiarity with it is that not particularly good Patricia Arquette film from the late 90s, but but there's a massive one that he misses with Madonna. I mean, aside from the fucking fact that her name is Madonna, like, which obviously,
right,
you know, is, yeah, quite. But there's another one, which I'm surprised he misses, because it's the sort of the main one. This is a huge clue as to the Illuminati. Do you remember the jacket that she wore in the film Desperately Seeking Susan?
doesn't it have a all-seeing eye?
Yeah, it's got an all-seeing eye, and on the back of it, it's got a pyramid with an all-seeing eye on the top. It's the Great Seal, and that was deemed as one of the huge sort of symbols. Also, he kind of goes into the fact that basically we kind of get into like sun symbolism here as well. Basically, he starts going on about how, like, this represents the sun and this represents yada yada yada, and he ties it back to Janet Jackson. And he says several years earlier, when Janet Jackson had her wardrobe malfunction, causing her bare breast to be revealed to the millions watching, Janet was wearing an Illuminati sun symbol nipple ring, causing some to think that the whole wardrobe malfunction claim was a cover story for a purposefully designed stunt aimed at showing nudity to the record live audience. I always thought that was done on purpose, to be quite honest, but not for an Illuminati ritual, just because I think they thought at the time it would be considered, I think they thought they could get away with plausible deniability, but they also thought that it would be sort of a sensation. And they forgot that quite a lot of America is very, 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 very uptight about things like that. And that was always the weird thing, that was always, you knew you were watching like an American thing, like TV show in the sort of late 90s, because there'd be blood and death scenes, potentially even sort of like, not just like you found the dead body, there might even be scenes of violence or whatever. But then if for whatever reason they had to go into a strip club, all the models would be wearing bikinis, or the dancers would be wearing bikinis. It's just one of those things. It was just a cultural thing that nudity and sex was deemed worse than violence in certain circles, basically. But hey ho, each to their own. He then goes on to say that Miley Cyrus encourages the use of drugs and sex. And at the MTV Awards, can you remember when she had her hair done in those really tight buns, when she was twerking on Robert Thicke and like using that big foam finger in all manner of filthy ways? Apparently, those hair buns look a little bit like devil horns. Yeah, powerful evidence. But he also, and she's also got an all-seeing eye tattoo, which is obviously proof. One of the things that he does miss is, she doesn't do it so much anymore, but she would have her tongue out all over the place, wouldn't she, when she was first starting? And it was clearly just like an image that they'd struck upon that was like slightly sexual and also sort of almost like a trademark. You know, it got a notice, it got in the newspapers. But at the time, can you remember people were saying that she was a representation of the demonic goddess Kali?
Yes.
Yeah. And, you know, again, with a sort of a lack of understanding, really. Like, basically, again, it's not Christian. It's a bit scary. Death, something. I think Kali got like a belt of skulls or something. And
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Not to be trifled with. Not the sort of person that you'd want to sort of bump into at 4 a.m. in a dark alley. But hey ho. He then goes on to basically say, and he's a bit brief with a lot of other people. He says that Justin Bieber has got an all-seeing eye tattoo and also an owl tattoo, and also promotes drugs and is going off the rails. He says that Christina Aguilera promotes sex, and once, Brent, she dressed as a devil.
That's enough.
Exactly. Also, again, the Madonna, her, and Britney Spears in wedding dresses, the hermaphroditic nature of Madonna being dressed in a suit, because apparently women can't wear suits. It indicates clearly that you've got multiple types of genitals. That was considered, as we've said before, like a satanic ritual where she was passing on the torch to these new young people who were going to continue in her mission of spreading sex and catchy pop tunes. He then goes back, for some reason, he goes back to Katy Perry. He says that basically she moved away from Christian music to pop. She promoted lesbianism and Obama again, which is clearly like proof that she's desperately evil. But here's the thing. He says reports from 2013 claim that Katy Perry's father, evangelical preacher Keith Hudson, referred to her as a devil child in a sermon and asked the congregations to pray for her. During sermons, Hudson will reportedly lament his daughter's career choices and image, contrasting her pop music with a strict Christian upbringing. And he is quoted as saying, "They ask, how can I preach if I produce a girl who sang about kissing another girl," referring to the hit single, "I Kissed a Girl," in which he describes not only kissing a girl, but liking it, which is, beyond the pale. He also described weeping at one of her concerts, saying they're loving and worshipping the wrong thing. And that's pretty damning. And that's quite, that sort of, I'm surprised that more people don't bring that up, particularly in relation to the selling of her soul and such like that, because it seems to sort of completely back it up, doesn't it? Except it's not true. Rather embarrassingly, in 2013, when all these rumors were floating around on the internet, guess who had him on their show to talk about this?
Alex Jones.
Fucking Alex Jones. Yeah, Alex Jones had him on InfoWars. Yeah. To uncover the story about it. And Katy Perry's dad was bewildered because he had no idea where this had come from. He said that he'd never referred to her as a devil child, that he was very proud of what she did, and he's got no clue where this idea came from, that he's disappointed or disowned her.